Welcome. This is your Need to Know. This is an episode recap, so there will be spoilers, sweetie. Music by Sisters AI Rhythmic. Check them out on YouTube.
This is your Need to Know.
Spoiler, sweetie.
This is your Need to Know.
All right, strap in, everyone. Let's dive deep into the Star Trek fandom.
Sounds good to me.
Today, we're going headfirst into all the reactions to the new Star Trek. Section 31 movie trailer,
Michelle Yeoh.
yep, starring Michelle Yeoh, premiering January 24th, only on Paramount Plus Bin.
Big day for Trekkies. January 24th.
It is. And this trailer, oh boy, it stirred up some serious buzz online. You guys have sent us tons of comments.
I bet. It's Star Trek. People are passionate.
So let's unpack it all. What's the overall sentiment out there?
Well, just the sheer volume of discussion is amazing. Shows you how much Star Trek still means to people.
For sure, it's like everyone's hit red alert and is dissecting every single frame.
Engaged fans. That's what you want.
But, gotta be honest, skimming through the comments, especially on Reddit,
Uh-oh.
yeah, a lot of folks are not exactly thrilled.
Really? I'm sensing some negativity. What are they saying?
Many are saying it feels more like, I don't know, generic action flick.
Less Star Trek, more just
Yeah,
action.
exactly. And they're not just vaguely unhappy, they're pointing to specific stuff.
Oh, I like specifics.
Examples. One comment that really hit me said, scrub the word Star Trek from the title.
Okay. Going bold, I like it.
The mention of Starfleet and one shot of a Vulcan
Still with them, yep.
and a passerby is just going to see this as Michelle Yeoh in generic sci-fi 31.
Wow. Okay, they went there.
Right. It makes you wonder, what makes this trailer feel so off from what we expect from Star Trek?
At the million-dollar question, I think maybe it's the visuals.
The visuals.
Think about it. Shaky cam, lens flares everywhere, that super fast editing.
You're right. That's more like Fast and Furious or something.
Exactly. Not the vibe we're used to with Star Trek, which is usually more deliberate, more thoughtful visually.
It's like the visuals are speaking a different language than what we're used to in the Star Trek universe.
The visual dialect, yeah.
And tons of comments are saying that, like they're feeling this disconnect.
Makes sense. Because visuals aren't just about pretty pictures. They tell you how the story's going to be told.
You're right.
And Star Trek, traditionally, it nails character-driven stories. Moral dilemmas, big questions. That's Star Trek.
Right. Exploration, not just explosions.
Exactly. But this trailer, it's all action, spectacle, less about those deep themes.
So many comments are echoing that. Frustration with the whole universe-ending threat thing that's been in a lot of the newer Star Trek stuff.
New Trek, some call it.
Right, new Trek. One person even said, it's been a universe-ending explosion threat every week. For years.
Yikes. Yeah, I get that. It can get old.
Do you think there's stakes fatigue setting in? Like if everything's always about saving the galaxy, it loses its punch.
It's a good point. Those epic stakes, they're great sometimes. But what makes Star Trek special is its ability to tell human stories, even on a smaller scale.
It's those small moments, those character interactions that really draw you in.
Absolutely. And speaking of complex characters, we got to talk about Section 31.
Oh boy, yeah. Section 31, always controversial, and this trailer just throws gasoline on the fire.
Right. So interesting how they're portraying them in this trailer. Think back to Deep Space Nine. Section 31 was this shadowy, almost mythical thing.
They were like a whisper. You weren't even sure if they were real.
Exactly. Operating on the fringes of Starfleet, their existence was always in question. It was unsettling.
Gave you chills, right? Like, even in this utopian future, there are these dark corners.
That's what made them so compelling, that reminder that even the Federation has secrets.
And that ambiguity is what a lot of fans loved about Section 31. It was this moral gray area. Made you question your own values.
Absolutely. But in this trailer, they're front and center, almost like the heroes.
Yeah, it's a big shift.
By bringing Section 31 into the light, making them the stars, it's like they're stripping away that moral complexity.
So instead of this shadowy organization, they're practically a military force now.
It seems that way.
And some fans are picking up on that. Like it goes against what Star Trek usually stands for.
Understand.
One comment said, the more you remove something like Section 31 from the shadows, the more it loses its mystique and the uneasiness of the heroes when confronted with it.
Powerful stuff. Do you think this overt portrayal could backfire? Fans who love that ambiguity might feel let down.
Right. Because part of what made Section 31 so cool was that it forced us to confront the dark side of Starfleet, the Federation.
It's like saying even in utopia, there are those willing to bend the rules to do what they think is necessary.
But if they're the heroes, does that message get lost?
It's a risk, for sure. It raises questions, about what it means to be a hero in Star Trek, about the compromises people make for security.
The line between good and evil.
Exactly. Big questions. It'll be interesting to see how the movie actually handles all this.
It's a tightrope walk, appealing to a wider audience while staying true to Star Trek. And you can see that tension in the comments.
Excitement mixed with worry, yeah.
Speaking of tension, we can't ignore Michelle Yeoh's return as Emperor Georgia.
Oh, Michelle Yeoh. Such a presence.
Her being back is definitely generating a lot of buzz. But I'm seeing mixed feelings, especially about her coming back as Emperor Georgia.
Interesting.
Some fans are just happy to see her back in Star Trek, period.
Can't blame them. She's fantastic.
But there's also disappointment that it's the Mirror Universe version, not the Prime Universe Georgia, who...
Yes, the Prime Georgia. Gone too soon. A lot of fans loved her.
Right. And it feels like there were so many stories left to tell with that character.
What could have been? Yeah, I get that.
But instead, we get the Mirror Georgia. Charismatic, entertaining, for sure.
But morally, not exactly a saint.
The opposite, really. Which begs the question, where's the franchise going?
It's a big departure.
Is Star Trek leaning into a darker tone now? Are we supposed to root for a character who's done some truly terrible things?
Those are the questions that have fans buzzing. It speaks to a bigger anxiety, about the future of Star Trek.
Is it staying true to its core? Or evolving into something new? Maybe alienating older fans in the process?
It's a tough balance, and this movie, it seems like it's trying to walk that line.
Trying to appeal to everyone without losing what makes Star Trek, well, Star Trek?
It'll be interesting to see how they pull it off.
For sure. It feels like this Section 31 movie is going to be a turning point for the franchise, one way or another.
Crossroads.
Either it solidifies this new direction for New Trek, or maybe the fan reaction forces them to reconsider.
We'll have to wait and see. But before we get too deep into that rabbit hole, what about the setting of the film?
Yes, the Lost Era, as some are calling it.
Pre-Next Generation. A mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Definitely some confusion about where this fits in the timeline.
A lot of curiosity, too, though.
Oh, tons. But also some apprehension. Messing with established continuity is always risky.
Especially with Star Trek, the canon is sacred to a lot of fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's something exciting about exploring this period, right, before the Next Generation. There's so much we don't know.
It's like a blank canvas.
Exactly. Filling in gaps, maybe learning new things about familiar characters. We see a younger Rachel Garrett in the trailer.
Ooh, that's juicy.
It is. Raises questions about how this all ties into what we already know.
Makes you wonder, what else might they reveal about this era?
It's like an archaeological dig, right? Discovering lost artifacts.
I like that analogy. And speaking of discoveries, maybe we should pause our deep dive for now.
Yeah, good idea. Give everyone a chance to process all these different viewpoints. We've covered a lot.
We have negativity surrounding the trailer, concerns about the visuals, the shift away from classic Star Trek.
The whole debate about Section 31, Michelle Yeoh's return, and this mysterious Lost Era setting. It's a lot.
A lot to unpack.
We'll pick it up in part 2, so stay tuned. There's much more to discuss about this intriguing and maybe controversial new chapter in the Star Trek universe.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
Welcome back to our deep dive. Still thinking about all those Star Trek Section 31 trailer comments. Seems like it really got under people's skin. Makes you think about what Star Trek means to them,
It's been fascinating seeing all the opinions, the passion. It's more than just a show, Star Trek. It's a cultural thing.
It really is. And that whole Section 31 thing, that's been a hot topic. We were saying how their big role in the trailer is making some fans uneasy, especially compared to how they were in shows like Deep Space Nine. More mysterious back then.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the conflict at the heart of Section 31, their methods versus what the Federation stands for.
Right, like they're spies, they do shady stuff, maybe even kill people.
Espionage, subterfuge.
Yeah, that. But Starfleet, they're supposed to be the good guys, all about peace and diplomacy.
The best of humanity. That's the ideal.
Exactly. So, having Section 31 be the main focus, some fans are worried the movie won't balance that well.
It's a valid concern. If they're the protagonists, are we condoning their actions? Does it blur the lines of what Star Trek is all about?
Like, is it saying the ends justify the means, Can you be a good guy when you're doing bad things in the shadows?
Big questions, right? But that's what makes it so interesting. This movie could really make us think about those moral dilemmas.
Challenge our own values, how we'd handle tough choices.
I think so. And, we were talking about Michelle Yeoh earlier.
Ah, yes. Back as Emperor Georgia.
Some folks were bummed it's not Prime Georgia.
Totally understandable.
But others, they're intrigued by this version.
Yeah, it's a different angle seeing her as this ruthless emperor.
It's like a study in opposites, right? Prime Georgia, the ideal Starfleet captain.
And then her mirror self, everything the Federation's against.
The contrast could be amazing storytelling. Imagine the internal conflict, trying to reconcile those two sides.
It'll be fascinating to see how they clash, maybe even influence each other. Like she says in the trailer, the Federation took everything from me.
Oof. Yeah, that line stuck with me too.
There's resentment there, maybe even a thirst for revenge.
Is it revenge? Redemption? Something else entirely? I'm dying to know what drives her.
Me too. And speaking of digging deep, the movie setting, this lost era before Next Gen, it's a mystery.
Mystery and some nervousness from the fans.
Yeah, messing with the timeline, it can ruffle feathers. Star Trek fans are serious about their canon.
Rightfully so. But there's also excitement. New stories, new perspectives. This period between the original series and Next Gen, there's so much potential there.
It's like, we know some big events happened, but the details are fuzzy.
Filling in the blanks, seeing how things led to what we know.
Exactly. Maybe we'll see how characters became who they are in Next Gen. Or what about iconic ships like the Enterprise C early in its career?
So many possibilities. And that's what's exciting about this lost era. Fresh ideas, expanding what we know about Star Trek, doing something truly new.
Of course, there's the risk of it feeling forced, like they're just trying to be different.
Or even worse, contradicting things we already know.
That's the tightrope they're walking.
Absolutely.
But I'm trying to stay positive. If they handle it well, this could be a real treat for fans. Uncovering hidden gems, a new way of looking at Star Trek.
I like your optimism. And speaking of new ways of looking at things,
You're thinking about the visuals again.
well, we talked about the shaky cam, the lens flares, how some people aren't happy about it. But visual styles change over time. What bugs some people might appeal to others.
It's true. Like, what works for an action movie wouldn't fit a slower, more thoughtful story. And what looked cool years ago might look dated now.
Right. It's about context. And I think we got to give the filmmakers some room to try new things visually. Maybe they're going for a different mood or trying to reach a wider audience who are used to that fast-paced, flashy style.
Makes sense. It's like reading a book versus watching a movie. Both tell stories, but in different ways.
Exactly. So while I get why some people are worried about these visuals feeling too different from Star Trek, let's wait and see how it all comes together. Maybe those techniques are only used in certain scenes to make things more intense.
You're right. It's not the tools themselves. It's how you use them. And sometimes a change can be a good thing. Keep things fresh, challenge what people expect, maybe even bring in new fans who wouldn't have watched Star Trek before.
I like that. And I think it's a good reminder as we go forward with this deep dive. It's easy to get lost in the details, the specific things people are worried about. But what really matters is whether the story works, whether it grabs you, makes you think, leaves you wanting more.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think this movie, with its premise, those morally gray characters, the lost era setting, and yeah, even those bold visuals, it's got the potential to be something special. But before we jump to conclusions, let's see what the third act of this deep dive holds. Final act of our Star Trek. Section 31, Trailer Deep Dive. What a journey.
It has been. From pure hype to, well, some serious doubts.
It's amazing how much this trailer has sparked debate about what Star Trek even is, you know?
I know what you mean. What it means to fans, what they want from it, where it should go, it's all up in the air.
I think one of the big things that's come up is this idea of Star Trek being about utopia, that optimistic future versus something more, I don't know, realistic, maybe even a little cynical.
A lot of fans, they crave that classic Star Trek hopefulness, that belief that we can build a better future.
Star Trek has always had that, right? That spark that says humanity can overcome its flaws, be better.
It's a powerful message. And in today's world, who wouldn't want to hold on to that?
Exactly. But then this trailer comes along, and it's got these darker themes, characters who aren't so clear-cut good guys.
A lot of comments are saying they're worried Star Trek is losing that optimistic core.
Like it's getting too bogged down in the messiness of the real world.
I get it. It's scary to think something you love might lose what made it special. But Star Trek has never been afraid to tackle tough stuff.
True. It's always been about what it means to be human, and that includes the bad stuff too, right?
Exactly. It's about asking hard questions, making us think about the choices we make as individuals and as a society. Maybe this move towards a more morally gray story is just Star Trek reflecting the times we're living in.
It's evolving with us.
Maybe. The world's a complicated place right now. Maybe Star Trek is just holding up a mirror to that.
So instead of giving us easy answers, it's making us confront our own anxieties, the uncertainty we're all feeling.
And maybe by facing that darkness, really looking at it, we can figure out how to get through it, come out stronger on the other side.
It's not about ignoring the bad stuff, but learning from it.
I like that. Shining a light on the dark corners, so to speak.
And that's where Section 31 comes in, right? They represent that potential for corruption, even in a supposedly perfect society like the Federation. Making them the main characters, it's like the filmmakers are saying, hey, this stuff exists, even in utopia, let's talk about it.
It's definitely a bold choice, and it's making people uncomfortable, but maybe that's good. We can't pretend these issues don't exist.
We all have that potential for darkness inside us. The question is, what choices do we make? Where do we draw the line?
And Star Trek has always been about asking those questions.
Right. It's not about giving us a perfect future, but about making us think how to get there. What sacrifices are we willing to make? What are we not willing to compromise?
Big stuff to think about. And who knows, maybe this movie will surprise us. Maybe it'll find a way to balance those conflicting ideas. Security versus freedom, being practical versus holding on to ideals.
Could be really thought-provoking if they handle it right.
Star Trek is at its best when it's pushing boundaries, making us question things. And this movie, it definitely has the potential to do that.
No matter what, I think the important thing is to have these conversations. Talk about what Star Trek means to each of us, what kind of future we want to see in it.
It's a shared universe, after all.
So, to everyone listening, as we wait for Star Trek, Section 31, to premiere on January 24th, think about what this deep dive has meant for you.
What parts of the discussion resonated? What worried you? What are you hoping to see in this new chapter of Star Trek?
Star Trek has always been about more than just entertainment. It's about starting conversations, getting us to think critically about ourselves and the world around us.
Keep those conversations going, and let's see where this journey takes us together.
Live long and prosper.
This is your need to know. Turn it up, feel the rush. Turn it up, feel the rush. Turn it up, feel the rush. Electric whispers in the space, silhouettes in the shadow chase. Every echo a perfect trace, lost and found in the base embrace. Spudgerless pull, let it spark. The lights flash, strobe so bright, riding the wave through the neon night. Bass kicks 909 ignite, pumping heavy, setting flight. Hiss and crackle, the snare explodes. Every beat, the rhythm flows. I feel it now, the groove that grows. In the motion, my spirit knows. Turn it up, feel the rush. Heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 999 command. Hands up, this is the land. Electric whispers in the space, silhouettes in a shadow chase. Every echo a perfect trace, lost and found in the bass embrace. Pump and scream, a melody so wild, frenzy pulse every heartbeat dialed. From the chaos a voice beguiled, a sound that's raw, untamed and styled. Turn it up, feel the rush, heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 999 command. Hands up, this is the land. In this sound we're infinite. Together now we won't quit. Rising higher, never sit. The dance, the dream, this is it. Electric rock, take it far. Lost in neon like a star. This is where we are. The 909, our guiding star. Turn it up, feel the rush. Heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 999 command. Hands up, this moving, keep on. The echoes sing a haunting song, a promise in the break of dawn. Dance, let go, it's a vow. Feel the rush, the sweat, the power. We're still here, still now. The 909 and we take our bow. Turn it up, feel the rush. Heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 9 heavy metal. 808 hits, thunderous pulse in the dark. It's the heartbeat, the mark. Time to take it up, let it spark. Dance, let go, it's a vow. Feel the rush, the sweat, the power. We're still here, still now. The 909 and we take our bow. Turn it up, feel the rush, heavy metal. 808 hits, thunderous pulse in the dark. It's the heartbeat, the mark. Time to take it up, let it spark. The lights flash, strobe so bright, riding the wave through the neon night. Bass kicks 909 ignite, pumping heavy, setting flight. Hiss and crackle, the snare explodes. Every beat, the rhythm flows. I feel it now, the groove that grows. In the motion, my spirit knows. Turn it up, feel the rush. Heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 909 command. Hands up, this is the land. Electric whispers in the space, silhouettes in a shadow chase. Every echo a perfect trace, lost and found in the bass embrace. Time that scream, a melody so wild, frenzy pulse every heartbeat dial. From the chaos a voice beguiled, the sound that's raw, untamed and style. Turn it up, feel the rush, heavy metal, electronic crush. Let the 909 command. Hands up, this is the land. And the sound, we're infinite, together now, we won't quit. Rising higher, never sit. The dance, the dream, this is it. Electric run, take it far. Lost in neon